Good morning, Dubai. Happy Tuesday. Today on the show, we spoke about how the ruler of Dubai toured Gitex yesterday, and as well, Huda Beauty and Kayali donate a big amount of money to aid humanitarian efforts in Palestine and Lebanon. And as well, a resident's concern on the Al Qudra cycle track. We as well announced the public holidays for 2025. And if you are not subscribed to the Lovin Dubai Show podcast, don't forget to subscribe.
Good morning, Dubai. Welcome back to the Lovin Dubai show, where we go through the top trending stories that everyone across the country is talking about. Our top story, of course, is about Gitex. The ruler of Dubai toured Gitex yesterday.
As well, Huda Beauty and Kayali donate $500,000 to aid humanitarian efforts in Palestine and Lebanon.
We're going to talk about Al Qudra cycling track, and a resident is concerned about the safety there.
As well, the public holidays for 2025 have been announced.
It's Tuesday, which means we've got Decisive Zone back in studio. Today we're discussing the do's and don'ts for accepting job offers in Dubai.
And in today's rapid weather report, highs of 35 degrees with humidity at 70%.
The Gitex traffic alert brought to you by the RTA. Traffic is currently fine on the way to Gitex. Great news. However, if you do face traffic, use alternative roads.
For example, Al Mustaqbal Street for those coming from Financial Center Street, and Al Sukuk Street for those coming from Sheikh Zayed Road.
Before we jump into our top stories, good morning to everyone on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok. And K111 gave us a good morning. Good morning right back to you. We have a story that's going to fire up the comments. This came from Forbes, so would love your thoughts on this. Why employers are rapidly firing Gen Z grads and what needs to change. So, for the last couple of years, bosses have been voicing frustrations about Gen Z grads, about being difficult to work with. Would love your thoughts on this. Now they're doing more than complaining, they're firing, and leaders like Richard Branson, Mark Zuckerberg have long said that attitude trumps qualifications, raw talent and adaptability. And a new report says that 60% of employers have already let go of some Gen Z employees. As in a Gen Z strong office, how do we respond?
Well, I want to have a chat with whoever is firing Gen Z. Because look, fine, I understand.
Mark Zuckerberg and Richard Branson.
Well, Mark Zuckerberg and Richard, I want to have a talk with you. Because, think about it in this way. Fine, I understand where they are coming from. However, they should look at the bigger picture. Now, Gen Z, as a whole generation, I think they are very opinionated. And they know what they want. And they know that maybe the older generation might not get to their idea in a way, which is why a lot of Gen Z can be really annoying and be go like, oh my God, it's such a boomer. It's like your boss is not a boomer, you just maybe don't know how to communicate. However, what I said is as well a general idea of hardworking Gen Z people, and as well there are some truths to it in a way. Maybe
so you see both sides.
I see both sides because there are Gen Z individuals who are very rude, who are very toxic, who are very I like to call it they have this condescending tone when talking. However, I don't think that it's because of their generation. I think it's deeper than that.
Question to you watching the show: are you Gen Z? Do you work with Gen Z? Would you fire? Do you agree with this? Do you not agree with this? I don't agree with the Forbes article on it, because I just think it's a vast generalization of a generation. By the way, so I guess I'm not Gen Z. I'm 55. But when I was in my 20s, there wasn't a name for my generation in the office. No one was like, what are we?
You are millennial.
Millennial. But no one was like, oh, the millennials are like this. And I think it's unfair to create that rift, because we are a Gen Z office and we have really hardworking Gen Z people in the office, and therefore it would be unfair to tar those people with that brush. And I think it's the same as what they mentioned there, that you need two things in an office or as an employee. You either need to be super duper talented and have a super hard work ethic. And I think it doesn't matter what generation you are, because you see multi-talent, and like even in the millennials, like we're not all really hard workers, we're not all super talented. We are also toxic. We are also, you know, like there's people on both sides.
Human.
Everyone is human, and there's good and there's bad, and there's great and there's mediocrity, and you shouldn't allow a vast generalization as a publisher, in my opinion.
You know what, I have a thought. I think that Gen Z are like that because the media and the public have told them, like, you are like that.
But they're not all like that, is what I'm trying to say.
No, they're not all like that. But, like, for example, like, I have this, like, weird
no one else
thing.
TikTok calls themselves Gen Z, by the way.
It's because of your TikTok. For example, like, if someone comes and goes like, oh, Farah, you know what, you're acting crazy. You're crazy, you're crazy, you're crazy.
Then you become crazy.
I will be like, you know what, fine, I'm crazy.
I'm
and
crazy.
I will live up to that standard, and I will be that. And I think that TikTok and the naming of the generation Gen Z, and the fact that, you know, how Gen Z, there are a lot of like things that are underneath them, have maybe convinced them in a way.
Yeah,
so some of them maybe
some of them fine and are stronger opinionated, but I think it's something that will change over time, and I think in 5 years we hopefully won't be having these conversations.
I am Gen Z.
And Forbes won't be, you know, setting that narrative that there is a change that needs to happen. Speaking of change that actually matters, it's 8:36, so let's jump into our top story of the day. The ruler of Dubai toured Gitex yesterday. The 44th edition of Gitex Global kicked off in Dubai. This is the world's largest tech and startup event, which is pretty phenomenal. It's absolutely massive. It's going from October 14th to October 18th, bringing together, you can see it behind me, 6,500 exhibitors from over 180 countries. And with that came some very influential visitors. His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Vice President and Prime Minister of the UAE and ruler of Dubai, was at the event, as we said, which is running under the theme Global Collaboration to Forge a Future AI Economy.
Now, speaking on the occasion of the global event, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum said, as the UAE embarks on a new phase of economic growth driven by strategic investments in future industries, the nation is rapidly consolidating its position as a global hub for advanced technologies such as artificial intelligence. We have clear vision to advance the UAE's leadership in the global digital and technology landscape, marking it in the world's future-ready nation.
He continued, Gitex Global 2024 accelerates the growth and innovation momentum created by the country's recent strategic initiatives such as Dubai Universal Blueprint for AI. So as the world's, yes we are, the top ranked destination for foreign direct investment in AI, Dubai is creating an environment that nurtures innovation and empowers companies to really explore the vast potential of emerging technologies, which is what we'll see down at Gitex. And thank you Smashy Business, by the way, our sister website, for giving us the key highlights, because this is what we'll expect over the couple of days. But key highlights from yesterday included the eVTOL flying car. We've seen photos of this before, and also exhibits like G42's AI-powered intelligence grid. This was all announced yesterday.
At this point, I believe and I know that Dubai is at its game. It's at the top of the game with AI, with advancement and technology, and this goes on and on. And just makes me proud to be living in a country that does nothing but, you know, evolve and become better.
And speaking of evolve and become better, the traffic, as we already mentioned, is not that busy down there, which is amazing to hear. That's definitely evolution if you've ever been stuck in Gitex traffic. So great work by the RTA. Let's jump into our next story. We're speaking about major donations to Palestine.
Well, of course, in light of what's happening in Palestine and Lebanon, Huda Beauty and Kayali donate $500,000 to aid humanitarian efforts in Palestine and Lebanon. So in a heartfelt response to the ongoing humanitarian crisis, Huda Beauty and Kayali have pledged a substantial $500,000 to support relief efforts in Palestine and Lebanon. Now, this generous donation will be divided between two prominent organizations, Doctors Without Borders, or Medicines Sans, I don't know how to read that in French, sorry, and the Lebanese Red Cross.
So both organizations are actively providing essential medical care and vital relief relief services on the ground, helping those affected by conflict. So Doctors Without Borders, one of the key beneficiaries of this massive donation, they play a crucial role in delivering emergency surgeries and trauma care while also managing chronic conditions in conflict zones, including Gaza and Lebanon.
Now, this is not the first time Huda Beauty has stepped in times of need, as in November 2023, the brand's founder, Huda Qattan, donated an impressive $1 million to support Palestinian relief efforts in Gaza.
Yes, she did, an absolute queen, and it gets my goat to see the comments that are negative on this post. Not only because she stood up with her voice, but like, she's an entrepreneur and she is a self-made woman. They are a self-made company. They have done, to do that as an individual, more power to her. And then to donate such a huge amount is really important. But it's amazing that she's taken it on her to have this massive stance on such an important cause.
I agree with you. And as well, there was a comment that we talked about before the show of someone who said that why is she showing that? Because like in our religion, if you're doing good, you should not showcase it to everyone. It should be like done in silence, quiet between you and God. However, I believe that because Huda Qattan and her sister Muna Qattan, they're such big, prominent public figures, they get a lot of slack, or they would have gotten a lot of slack if they hadn't posted or talked about anything.
Exactly.
And she had to. She had to. And if she didn't, they'd be
she
like,
didn't have to, but
she did.
But for example, Taylor Swift in politics.
Yeah.
We don't need to get into US politics, but like, did she? People were like, which way is she going, and would she have to say something? So maybe she did or didn't have to, but I totally agree that like if they hadn't done anything, people would have questioned it. But this isn't just doing something. This is a massive. This is a very significant donation.
Agreed, and it's very easy, by the way, to judge behind the screen of your phone. When you don't know what the person that you're judging had done or had not done.
True, and I look at the comments and like, they are too much of a brand to, I guess, really respond and get into them. But like, if it was me and I was doing something so significant and I was getting all these, some negative comments responding, I'd say, where is your 500k to, the biggest humanitarian crisis of our time happening right now? That is a huge donation. It's going to impact many lives, and the people that come in with their negativity on the post, like, what are you doing?
That's
like, and also to even say, oh, this isn't, we shouldn't donate because it's not the right, we shouldn't publicize our donations. But this is a reminder to other people, oh, what have I done?
That's true.
And we actually got an amazing, I wish I could get the number up in terms of, I think it's 110 million dirham that the people of the UAE have donated to Emirates Red Crescent, which is also massively significant. But it does make you beg the question, if you're dropping these negative comments, what are you doing to help people going through horrors that we cannot even imagine?
100%. We all the time talk about you can do things as little as posting a story, talking about it, educating, but it's not okay to come and shame others. For like she for sure has her reasons. We know that Huda Qattan and Muna Qattan, they are Muslims and they are aware of that. But they for sure as well knew that if they had not talked about it or posted about their donation, they would have for sure, been like, oh yeah, they're not talking, boycott.
8:43 on a Tuesday morning. The public holidays for 2025 have been announced. Cue bells. Are you the kind of person who plans your leave well in advance and takes as many leave days as possible? Or do you leave it until the last minute? Well, if you're the former, this is going to be music to your ears.
Well, the provisional public calendar holiday for 2025 has been announced, so take notes. Now, the predicted public holidays are as follows. UAE holidays are going to be for 2025. Let us know.
So the New Year's Day, January 1st, 2025, we're all looking forward to that. I think is it a Wednesday or Thursday? I think so. It's a Thursday. So that's a Thursday off at the beginning of next year to look forward to. Then we've got Eid al-Fitr, which is March 31st to April 2, 2025. Arafat Day, May 30th, 2025. And Eid al-Adha, May 31 to June 2nd, 2025. Islamic New Year, June 27th, 2025.
As well, the Prophet Muhammad's birthday is going to be on September 1st, 2025, Commemoration Day, December 1st, 2025, and National Day, December 2nd to 3rd, 2025. Of course, no, look, I'm a last-minute person, which is very bad. It's horrible. I don't like that about myself. I need to change that. But, yeah, if you get a message last minute, just approve delete for me. Because I'm a last-minute person. I'm a very last-minute person. Because, I don't know, I freak out and I overthink everything.
I think most companies have I think last minute, well, anyway. This, moving on from your specific leaves, the exact calendar dates are subject to change depending on moon sightings for certain holidays. So we don't have the specifics, which is very usual here. If you've just moved to the country, it's quite common that you won't get the specifics until, for example, moon sightings like a week or so in advance, maybe even a few days or so in advance. And I always think, I used to be more of a last minute person, now I'm a bit of a planner. However, I think about it's kind of okay to be a last minute person when you're just thinking about yourself. But I always think about the family and the kids. Like if you have a family to book for, you can't really wait until a week in advance to book your flight to wherever you're going to go, because we're so lucky to be surrounded by so many beautiful countries. So whenever I see this, I always think of the schools and the parents, and if it was me, I would be booking the holidays based on this and just like whatever. You know what I mean? Because you can't, you have to book these holidays like 6 months in advance to get cheap flights.
But the thing is, like, it does not apply to schools, because like schools, they are like different.
No, the school I was in was, it was dependent on government announcements.
Oh, okay. Well, as well, I don't know. Like,
not all, you're right, but some.
Not all schools. Like, for example, like with my school, they'd be like, oh yeah, what, the government announced that, but you will be coming to school on that day. So my parents, I remember when I was like younger and they would want to go back home, Syria, go back to Syria, they wouldn't know when to book. And they would be like, what are we doing? And I remember I used to go to a sister's school, and my mom would she was really good friends with the sisters, and she would tell them like, when are we getting the holiday? Like, what are the times? When because I want to book. She wants to book the flights for the whole family.
Yeah, exactly. And it would be the question of when. Speaking of questions, someone is putting a very interesting question out to the community.
Well, a resident's concern on the Qudra cycle track has been addressed. So, of course, we all know that the cooler months are approaching, and as the cooler months approach, our outdoor spaces are set to get busier, particularly the popular Qudra cycling track. But a Dubai resident has raised an important concern regarding the safety of both runners and cyclists. So take note. Now, the residents stated saying, I'm asking out of curiosity and concerns for all our safety. There must be a solution for us all to enjoy the amazing facilities we have been gifted.
The Qudra cycling track is a beloved destination for many, but as it becomes busier, as the weather cools, the potential for accidents increases. So the residents suggest that with proper planning, both runners and cyclists can safely enjoy the facility.
Now, in light of these concerns, the resident proposed exploring alternative running routes nearby, away from the cycling path. He believes that creating the designated areas for both groups could significantly enhance safety, allowing everyone to enjoy without fear of collisions.
So it's worth noting that this came via Andy Fordham and then via another post from Stuart Howison. Basically, it's interesting because Dubai Cycling Community, I think it's called on Facebook, is a very popular Facebook group for cyclists, and the majority of people on the page will agree that what they're saying makes sense. You've got a busy route just for cyclists, so there is potential for danger when there's runners on the route. 100%. Runners might have something else to say.
Look, I do see both. I see both sides of the story, because I love walking. I would love to walk in a highway and walk as freely as possible. But if you are walking or running on a cycling route that you should not be walking at, and it's not designated for you, then you are not only putting your life under the risk, you're as well putting the cyclist's life under risk, because he's going to get in trouble for, causing the injuries.
Yeah, true. I think if it didn't have a I don't know the full rules of the roads out there. So maybe there is a space for runners, I'm not sure. But this isn't the first time this theme or this topic has come up. Raise your hand if you've ever been out to Qudra for a little early morning cycle. People do the 50 km loop. Oh,
I wish I could do
did
that,
it
but I don't know. I don't.
Once a school has just entered our studio. Hi, Clary in school. We'll talk to you after. I've been there once, but I know that, like, I'm sure this morning there was 50, 60, if not hundreds of riders out there. The weekends, it gets even busier. Like, it's such an amazing thing to do, to wake up in the morning, go out there and just be one with nature. So it's super duper busy. And then the problem is you've got your triathletes, your Ironman training, and then you've got the likes of me who are like, oh, I think I'll go for a cycle this morning. At very different speeds, very different levels, all, you know, gunning it on the same strip. And I think even if we're talking runners versus cyclists or cyclists versus cyclists, it's just a very busy place, and there is safety concerns there. So if you're heading out, take care of the people around you. Don't be thinking, it's like you're on a ski slope. Don't think just about yourself. You have to think about everyone around you. Or driving would make more sense. It's like you're driving, you can't think just about your car, you have to think about everyone around you.
100%. I do agree with you, because like I do struggle with that aspect. We both live in production city, and if I'm driving like to go somewhere or like cruise around, I definitely I would drive, and it would be a very empty road, and I know it's empty, I know it's beautiful, but I would see someone walking, and I would be like, oh my god, maybe I'm fine, I am driving slowly, but what if someone could have been driving really fast?
Exactly, the same thing has happened to me, 100%.
Right? And then the thing is this could be very, I would say, this could cause a lot of issues to the person who's walking or running, and as well the driver. Because for the driver, he's gonna get the trauma of oh my god, he caused someone injury, and then the injured or the walking person is gonna get injured. So why would you want to put yourself in such a situation?
Okay, well, touch wood, we keep ourselves safe. Take care of the rules of the roads. It's 8:51, which means it's time to sit down with Decisive Zone for visa talks. Today we're talking about the do's and don'ts for accepting job offers in Dubai. Stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back to the Lovin Dubai show. Have you ever wondered what the legal steps are when accepting a job offer in the UAE, especially if you're on a visit visa? Today we're joined by Sahal and Mohammed from Decisive Zone, who will guide us through the do's and don'ts of starting work before your visa and work permit are finalized, if that's even allowed. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Nice to be here. We're happy.
Happy Tuesday, Decisive Zone. Let's jump into jobs in Dubai. What is a job seeker visa? I didn't even know we had one.
I mean, we did. I think we spoke about it a couple of weeks back. So essentially, there's a lot of people, like we discussed, who come into the country, who want to relocate here, and they don't know where to start off, right? So previously, it used to be a case where people would just come on a visit visa, whatever, come around, look for a, potential gig, etc., and then obviously switch their visa over. But now the government sort of streamlined the process that even you don't have to do that. If your sort of main intention is to come to Dubai, live here, work here, if that's sort of your thing, then you sort of go down that route of the job seeker visa, where you come through, you apply for that visa, so you're legally in the country for an extended period, and you can go ahead and explore opportunities.
I think the major thing is it's in line with the goal of 2040, where every area is improving. They're trying to widen Dubai, but at the same time they're trying to give people the opportunity to come in lawfully, find employment, and at the same time do it comfortably, if that makes sense. There's no strain of timeline. They can do it at the freedom if they want. I can go through a couple of more things in terms of they can have it for 60 days, they can have it for 90 days, they can have it for 120 days.
Wow.
So it all depends how much time you've got to come and actually search for that role. So what that allows you to do is have that flexibility, and there's no rush here. It allows you to find the right opportunity rather than just taking any opportunity, if that makes sense.
I had heard of it but I'm glad that we're going into the details because I think it's such an amazing opportunity for people, and the fact that it goes up to 120 days.
Exactly.
What are the requirements? Is it, nationality, age, qualifications, for example?
So in terms of categories, there's a few different categories. It comes into whether you're skilled in certain categories 1, 2 and 3, but it also matters if you've got a degree. That's a sort of another category. The degree has to be you've had to have had it in the last 2 years, and then you can qualify for a job seeker visa in Dubai.
So mainly for the youth.
That's
Yeah.
it. In terms of the degree sense, but there's other people who don't have a degree that can also qualify for the job seeker visa as well at the same time. In terms of documents, it's sort of basic documents. If you're going for the skilled part, if you're going for the degree part, it's more sort of your CV, cover letter, bachelor's degree attested, that sort of thing, and obviously proof of funds, right? Because they want to know that you're going to come to Dubai and look for a job, but also have the funds to look after yourself while you're here.
And how much, I guess, do you need in your account to?
So it's around 3,000 dirhams, but nothing crazy. But it depends on what type of stay you're staying for as well. 60 days, 90 days, 120 days. Obviously, the timeline dictates how much funds you're going to need to survive in Dubai. And yeah.
And 60, 90, 120, that seems like a very fair amount of time by the government. If I get to the 120 and I'm nearly there, is there any kind of leeway or flexibility on another job seeker visa, or how does that work?
So what can happen is you can renew the job seeker visa. You can get another 120 days, another 90 days, another 60 days. A lot of people in that time, you should be able to find a role, because the beauty of the job seeker visa is when you're in Dubai, you're going to see the opportunities, like the benefits are you're going to be able to get interviews. The most important thing is you're going to be able to network in Dubai and meet the people you need to. And then when you're in front of employers, you're there face to face rather than doing it on a Zoom call, which gives you more credibility. You're in there, you're face to face, and your chances are higher to get the job, obviously.
It's so true. I love how the UAE has widened the network, basically make it easier for people to come and to look for those jobs.
Yeah.
Then, good news, they get the jobs. Let's say it's on the 110th day. How long does the work process, permit and work process actually take to get that visa in the UAE?
I mean, the traditional time frame to get a residency permit, let's say, because in that case you'd just be switching your visa over, right? Because you'd technically be in the country on a job seeker visa, and then let's say on day 110 you get a job offer, everything's good. You verified the company, which is another key step. You got to make sure that the offer letter you're getting is coming from a credible source, right? Because a lot of times we read Reddit pages and Facebook, groups about, oh, this company gave me an offer letter, and then we don't know where they are now. So you got to make sure of that as well. But the switchover is about a week's time, because the thing is that once you've applied for it, that's essentially in the labor system. That's good. You know what I mean? So even if you do go to a day 121 and you don't have your visa done or your entry permit issued, etc., but because you have applied for it, you're in the green. So you just have to make sure that you need to have your paperwork in check, and the second you apply for it, you're good.
Visa, the process, it's not always kind of spot on. It can take a little bit longer. So what happens if I start working, I think I'm in the green, but then it's either delayed or rejected? Where does that leave me?
But the thing is that because your application is submitted already, so you're okay. Regardless, even if it takes you, let's say, 15 or 20 days past your 120 days, as long as your visa is in process, no one can say anything to you. Because even if they do ask you, oh, why are you here, where's your Emirates ID, etc., etc., you can always be like, no, I've already applied for it, and here's my application, and that sort of thing. So you just got to have the ICP app, like we've discussed previously. Just make sure it's on your phone, so you have all of your paperwork's in line. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. What is the temporary paperwork? Because I just feel like I would be nervous if the 120 days had passed and I didn't have a visa. Can I leave the country, for example? How can I prove that I'm trying to get documented?
Yeah, so the thing is, you can't leave the country while your visa is under process. It's best to stay in the country, because if you do leave the country, you will have to start the whole process again.
We've all been there.
Exactly, right? So once the change of status is done, then it'll be logged onto the ICP that your visa is in process, and it's best to stay in the country, or else, like I said, the whole process will have to start again, and then you're back at step one, essentially.
So if, for example, in an example case, if an employer, I get a job, they ask me to start working, my visa's not ready, what is your recommendation on that?
First thing, first thing you got to do is offer letter. Absolute, step one. Make sure you have an offer letter in hand that's, signed, sealed, etc. So that protects your rights as a potential employee for the company, right? Because let's say in the future, because obviously a company does have the right to, change their mind, so to speak. But as long as your paperwork's in check, then you can obviously stand up to them and be like, no, but you've guaranteed me this position, so what's going on. That's step one. Apart from that, it's just a case that just make sure your application is in hand. You've got the ICP app. Just these very little things that would sort of protect you as an individual as well, because it would give you clarity in the future. Let's say, a company does change their mind, they don't decide to go ahead with your visa, etc., and they put you in a position where day 119, you have an offer letter, but they change their mind, you have a dispute, etc., and then now you're stranded. You know what I mean? So in that case, even if you do have to apply for an extension, then this is where this would act as proof that, see, I did get an offer letter, I was meant to start. So even if I do cross 120 days, the immigration would not fine you or, things of that nature. Yeah.
And also the authorities are on your side. If you've got everything documented in terms of your offer letter, you signed a contract, the authorities 99% of the time are on the side of the employee, because you've done everything on your side. You're just waiting for everything to be conducted on the employer's side. So you're well within your rights, and you're in the right place, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, that's what we were going to lead on to, is that, if the authorities come knocking, who's at fault if there's no visa there? And you're saying, if I've got my paperwork, it's going to be the employers. What kind of fines are they looking at? Like, if there's a company who is, and we have heard of this, right? Like, there's people, many people, they're waiting for their visas, they're not documented. If the employer is at fault, what type of fines are they looking at?
So in terms of fines, as long as the employee's done everything from their side, they've had all the documentation. If the employer still hasn't done what they've needed to do in terms of visa, work permit, etc., the fines range from 100,000 to up to 1 million dirhams. So they're not light fines, if that makes sense. So it's in the employer's benefit to get everything done. So it's a two-way street, right? It's in their benefit so they don't get fined, and it's in your benefit so you can actually stay in the country legally at the same time.
Okay, so let's say I've got my job, I'm happy out, but I get terminated, and I want to go home. Is it possible for me to go home on that visa and come back? Or as soon as you get terminated, is your visa just done?
No, so in that case, so let's say, the unfortunate event, someone gets terminated, you have to go back home, you're sad, etc. Okay, I didn't make it sound that bad, but anyway, in that sort of a scenario, it is a case that the second you are terminated, the employer has up to 30 days to cancel your visa, and then you have to exit the country, right? So traditionally, employers prefer to get the cancellation done as soon as possible, because that sort of streamlines the rest of the process of handovers and different things that do come with different companies, etc., and processes and all of that. But from that point on, the second you leave, then to come back into the country, you need to get another visa, because at that point, the second the cancellation is done,
I mean, it's a two-way street, right? Like I said, so for them, you're off their books, and for you, you're essentially free. You can leave the country, you can travel, you've got your last paycheck or whatever's owed to you, and essentially you can move on to the next step in your journey, whether it's in Dubai or whether it's outside of Dubai.
It is a scary time, and you mentioned Reddit. Yeah. I saw a Facebook group conversation. It was a woman. She just lost her job. She'd been terminated, so she was immediately seeking something new. And I guess this brings us into Golden Visa.
Yep.
The final question. So how does the Golden Visa program impact regular visa holders? If I have the Golden Visa, I get terminated, I'm safe?
Yeah. You're golden,
golden.
As they say. You would be okay, because that's one of the perks of the golden visa, right? Because then in that case, you're sponsoring yourself. So you're not reliant on an employer or a family member or any other sort of entity to sponsor you. You're your own sponsor. So regardless of, let's say you do lose your job for whatever circumstance, for whatever reason your visa gets, your employment, let's say, is in a bit of a turmoil, your legal status in the country is still safe.
Is there a case where employers apply for golden visas for their employees, or it's always individual individuals reaching out to you?
I mean, there's companies that offer benefits to employees. So if anyone out there who does want to apply for golden visas for your employees, yeah, there are companies out there who do that, because let's say someone's been with you for upwards of 15 years or 20 years, and they've shown that kind of devotion to you. And employers, that's sort of a way to pay back, right? Like, you've given us 15 or 20 years of your life,
And it ties into last week's show when you talked about the teachers and their eligibility for golden visas. There's teachers who are also being recommended, and schools are actually applying for the golden visas on behalf of them as well. So yeah, in some scenarios, it's completely doable, yeah.
Such an amazing safety net for people. So many little intricacies regarding visas. Thank you guys at Decisive Zone for staying on top of it, and then for relaying the information, because otherwise I don't know how we would be able to. There's so much. If anyone watching has questions, how can they reach out? How can they find you?
Get in touch with us. We're online everywhere. DM us, Google Decisive, and yeah, like I always say, we're on top.
or just pop into our office. We're more than welcome.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We serve a great coffee, and we will charge you for it.
Pop in for a coffee, Decisive on Business Bay, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Lovely office. Guys, thank you so much, Sahil and Mohammed, for joining. We'll see you back here next Tuesday. Really appreciate the chats.
Awesome to be here.
Thank you.
That brings us to the end of the Lovin Dubai show. We'll be back with you tomorrow morning, same time, same place. Bye-bye.